Howdy, howdy, guys. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. I'm not going to talk about an out-of-body thing this time. I got a neat story that's a family story from quite a while ago. But I thought you'd like it. Kind of an interesting story. I got 4 sons, and my youngest son, who's now like in his mid-40s, but at that time he was, I think, about 5, I guess, something like that. And he used to, he'd go to bed and would hear him talking to somebody in his bedroom all the time. And, I'd go in and look, and then he'd stop talking or something. So we kind of, forgot, about it. But on a regular basis, he would be, talking to somebody, and then would come out of the bedroom. And we'd say, "Who are you talking to, John?" And he would say, "George." And I go, "George," and he go, "Yeah, who's George?" Well, he said, "He's a friend, and I said, "Okay." I said, what's George look like?" And he said, George was a real super tall guy. And he said that we had an 8-foot flat ceiling in his bedroom, and he said that he was so tall he had to bend over, where I guess the back of his neck, I assume, was at the ceiling. And I said, "Really?" And we're kind of not really necessarily believing this, but we're going along with it. So then I said, "Well, what's he tell you?" And he says, "Well, he tells me, to always, obey my parents, and do what they say." And well, that's not bad. And then he would also come out a lot of times, and it would be saying Bible scriptures. And we weren't at that time. We weren't really religious. We didn't really, go to church or anything. And so John didn't have any way of knowing anything about the Bible. He's like 5 years old and never been exposed to it in any way. So he was, he was quoting scriptures, and I said, where'd you get those, scriptures?" "Well, George told me. They would be nice scriptures about stuff." Well, anyway, George went on for quite a while like that. I don't know exactly how long it was. How long did he do that, Connie?
3 or 4 years.
3 or 4 years. But anyway, there was so skip forward a few years, and we're in the California's got this I-5, and it's along, goes from like the Bay, well, way below the Bay Area, and it goes all up to Redding, California, and beyond that. And it's really kind of a flat area, and they got 2 or 3 lanes going south and 2 or 3 lanes going north, and you can see the other traffic going the opposite way real easily, because you're pretty close. But anyway, John's a little kid still, and his 3 brothers in the car, and the wife and me. And we're heading up there to do some business up there. And John's got this little toy phone. My kids have little plastic things. And all of a sudden he picks it up and he's talking, "Okay, okay, and okay, he hangs up, and I said, "Who's that?" And he goes, "That's George." I said, "Really?" That was George. And I said, what did George say? And he said, "Well, George says he's going to be coming on the road the opposite way, and he's going to be driving an army truck, and he's going to be in an army uniform, and he's going to wave at us and smile." And I says, "Okay." And like I said, the whole family's in the car. We're all hearing this. So about a minute or 2 later, here comes this, like a Hummer, kind of a, fatigue paint, stuff like that. And we could see him coming, a ways before he get there. And just about where he's even with us, he looks over at us and waves. And he had a big black beard. And he waved and smiled and went on by. So this is, we're totally freaked out. I mean, not in a bad, no, freaked, but astounded. So anyway, I think that was about the last thing that we remember George really, participating in my son's life. So if you can fast forward, I'm not sure, maybe 30 years later, my wife had made a family album on her side of the family. Her dad and mom and the old pictures when they were babies and different things, and a good little nice photo thing. And John was at the the house that day. And so she wanted to show him a picture of, his, Connie's dad, who had passed away a long time ago. And because he had never seen him, they had very few pictures of him. And so anyway, John sits down on the couch and he's looking and going through it and stuff. And so he gets to this one picture and he just stops, he freezes. And his jaw opens wide, and he's just astounded, like he couldn't believe it. And he looks down at Connie's father, who had never seen before a picture or anything, because he was dead way before he was born. And he goes, "That's George. That's George." And it turned out that Connie's dad's name was George. So I don't know what to say. That's the end of the story. And that's the truth. This is a family matter, family situation. So that's one for the books. But that's something I'll never forget, and John won't either. Well, thanks for listening. I'll do the next one I'll do with out of body. But I had to get this one in. I thought you might like it. Thanks. Bye.